Foreign Affairs, Republic of Singapore, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Institute of South Asian Studies, or ISAS for short, I would like to warmly welcome you to the ISAS International Workshop on Afghanistan in Transition Beyond 2014. To commence the workshop, it is my pleasure to invite Ambassador Gopinath Pillai, Chairman of ISAS, to deliver the opening remarks. Ambassador Pillai, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Lim Wee Kiak, Member of Parliament and Chairman of the Government Parliamentary Committee on Defence and Foreign Affairs, our very eminent speakers from abroad, our old scholars, ladies and gentlemen. Let me welcome all of you to this workshop, the very first workshop to be held on Afghanistan in this part of the world. Before I proceed, maybe I should make one comment about ISAS itself. This is the very first event of 2012, and I'm very happy to say that we have started with the alphabet A, Afghanistan. So I want to thank my colleagues from ISAS, because they've had an excellent year in 2011. The climax was the South Asian Diaspora Convention that we held in July, and a whole slew of events and papers that we published. I'm very proud of the output of these colleagues of mine. They have held together, they have moved in unison to achieve one purpose, and that is to acquire more knowledge on South Asia. Our researchers have been, like in Afghanistan, like Dr. Shanti D'Souza, goes to Afghanistan to get whatever information she needs. We have our young researcher here who went to Taiwan to get the information. So I'm very proud of them, the way they have done. I'm proud of the leadership of the senior scholars who will always chip in and give guidance to whatever we are doing. And of course, the admin staff who make sure that all the details are taken. I've been to conferences where, because the details have not been taken care of, the conference does not achieve its full success. We hope this conference will achieve its full success. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Dr. Lim Wee Kiak as the guest of honor. Many in Singapore would know who he is, but for the benefit of my friends from abroad, let me explain that he's a member of the Government Parliamentary Committee on Defence and Foreign Affairs, which is a very powerful committee of the government. He is a young politician. He's an ophthalmologist, and as I say always, that he probably has a better vision of things that are facing the world. As I said, this is the first time that a workshop on Afghanistan has been organized in this part of the world, providing a forum of Afghan scholars and policymakers to freely express their views. Speakers in the workshop come from many fields, each with vast academic and policy experience and unique perspectives derived from their deep knowledge of ground realities. We have also speakers from other countries, such as, I hope that we have a speaker from Pakistan. I think we have had a number of dropouts, and I think Pakistan, the person could not make it. We have from China, we have from India, we have from the US. So these are to give outside perspective of Afghanistan, apart from the Afghan scholars themselves. I have no doubt in my mind that the workshop will fulfill this key objective of providing a platform for scholars as well as policymakers to meet and discuss issues and events that are relevant in this part of the world. I would like to suggest that when you discuss, look more to the future rather than the past. Past is something that you cannot change. You can look at it, analyze it, and get benefits of that analysis. The present, we know what is going on. But what is the future? And that is the thrust of this workshop. What are we going to see in Afghanistan 2014 and beyond? Amidst the preparations of transferring authority to the Afghans by 2014, there are wide-ranging concerns on the existing capacity of the Afghan institutions to take the matter into their own hands. Concerns have been expressed about capacity of the Afghan security forces to withstand the onslaught of the insurgency, and governing institutions have been viewed as weak and ineffective. While such problems are symptomatic of a post-conflict society, it would be naive not to look at the tremendous progress Afghans have made in certain critical areas. Unfortunately, most of these achievements have not been reported in the international media or the academic presentations. It is thus timely to assess the progress achieved so far on building local capacities and institutions in key sectors like security, political governance, economic growth, and development. And in this workshop, we have Afghan voices to provide the narrative. The workshop will provide a balanced and unbiased view from the ground. In the day and a half of deliberations, the workshop would address the following themes, which are, as I mentioned earlier, security, political reconciliation, government, trade and investment, including regional and international dimensions, with particular emphasis on recommendations for way forward in the panels. Coming at the heels of just concluded Istanbul and Bonn conferences, this workshop is a timely and useful academic and policy exercise. As the international community gropes for answers on the future of Afghanistan and the possibility of effective transition by 2014, this workshop would add to the current policy debate in addressing gaps and require immediate attention by taking views of the experts in the field. I hope you will have a productive 2 days of deliberations and that you will tell us some valuable gems that what will transpire in Afghanistan after 2014. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Pillai. With great pleasure, I would now like to invite our distinguished guest, Dr. Lim Wee Kiak, to deliver the keynote address. Dr. Lim, please.
Ambassador Gopinath Pillai, Chairman, Institute of South Asian Studies, NUS, Professor Tan Tai Yong, Director, Institute of South Asian Studies, Excellencies, distinguished guests, speakers, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon. First, let me welcome, especially all our foreign guests, a big welcome, big warm welcome to the warm and sunny Singapore. I understand that this is a 3 days workshop. They are working you very, very hard, but do please take some time off to enjoy what Singapore has to offer. You know, we just finished our Christmas sales. Now the Chinese New Year celebration is ongoing. So if you get some time, please make your way down to Chinatown, and there are lots of lights as well as festive moods for you to enjoy in Singapore. It is certainly my great pleasure as well as my honor to address this particular international workshop on Afghanistan in transition beyond 2014. And I understand that this is the first workshop to be held in this part of the world with such an eminent panel of speakers. I know there are members of parliament from Afghanistan, there are ministers, there are former ministers as well. So let me welcome all our eminent speakers and thank you very much for coming to Singapore to talk on this particular topic. There are scholars from many countries as well, including from China, from US, from Pakistan, and certainly I would like to congratulate the Institute for pulling this remarkable effort together. It is not easy, and certainly I think they have done fantastically well for the start. It is said that when the butterfly flutters its wing, there may be a tornado somewhere else on the other parts of the planet. And likewise, as far as Afghanistan is concerned, it's the same. Peace and stability in Afghanistan remains critical to international security. As the tragedy of September 11, 2001 demonstrated, we need to deprive the forces of extremism the space to carry out their terrorist agenda. Despite the death of Osama bin Laden in May last year, the threat of terrorism remains. In fact, it may have even heightened. Like Afghanistan, Singapore and our neighbors are threatened by terrorism as well. Many of our homegrown extremists are radicalized by developments in Afghanistan. First, by the war against Russian occupation in Afghanistan, and then subsequently by the ideology of Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. Trained in violence by Al-Qaeda, they turn against their own countries and their own people, causing death to innocents in the furtherance of their agenda. Our interest in Afghanistan extends beyond the issue of terrorism. Afghanistan has been described as the graveyards of empires, with nuclear powers like US and its ally, as well as Pakistan and India, all with interest in Afghanistan. Development in Afghanistan have a strategic bearing on our regional security. Hence, we all have a stake in the development in Afghanistan. And through the contributions of scholars here for this workshop, we take another important step in improving our understanding of the complex and evolving situation in Afghanistan and its region. Singapore has been part of the multinational stabilization and reconstruction efforts in Afghanistan. Since 2007, we have deployed personnel in Afghanistan as part of Singapore's contribution to help restore peace and to build up the capacity for a stronger, independent Afghanistan. We have sent medical teams, as well as trainers to artillery school at Kabul Military Training Center. In addition, we have provided technical assistance through the Singapore Cooperation Program, the SCP. And 404 Afghan officials have attended the SCP courses in various fields. I'm glad to hear from feedback from them. It is very useful and more are waiting to come to Singapore to be trained. It is important to note that the story of Afghanistan is not just about war and terrorism, but it's about progress and future. It's about hope. Today, Afghanistan is a democratic Islamic republic with a constitution and a parliament. It is taking steps. It is taking steps towards a more inclusive political order by strengthening the democratic institutions of governance to ensure accountability, transparency, and representation. Afghanistan has also worked hard to develop its economy with investment in the mining sector and also the revival of horticultural and traditional artisan work. During lunch, I just learned that Afghanistan produced the best pomegranate in the world. So I'm waiting to taste one of these days. There is also greater access to education, especially for girls, and women now may participate in the electoral process. And I hope that through the course of this conference, we will look not only at the daunting challenges confronting Afghanistan, but also at the opportunities and the promise that the countries offer. As Afghanistan prepares for the drawdown of international forces, it will need concerted and sustained international assistance. The recent conferences in Istanbul and Bonn have been a good start. But many gaps remain. It is imperative that the international community continue to play a helpful role, especially in the upcoming conferences in Tokyo and the Chicago Summit. Ultimately, Afghanistan's fate should be determined by the Afghan, and rightfully so. However, in this gathering of scholars and friends, many of whom share a passionate interest in Afghanistan's future, I'm confident that we can look forward to a useful and relevant discussion on the challenges confronting Afghanistan in transition, as well as the opportunities for peace and prosperity. I certainly wish all a very successful workshop and certainly hope that you have a lovely stay in Singapore. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Lim. May I now invite Ambassador Pillai to present a token of our appreciation to Dr. Lim for his insightful opening address at today's event.
This is the book.
On behalf of ISAS, I thank Dr. Lim for spending his valuable time with us. He will be taking his seat now because there's a Parliament in session.